Welcome to Dentology, the Business of Dentistry podcast. In this podcast, we delve into the non-clinical aspects of dentistry with inspirational guests from across the profession. You will hear incredible life stories, pick up valuable business tips and be entertained. I'm Andy Acton and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Drevens. Dentistry is full of good people, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you what's lovely is we know Jon from social events and some sort of conferences and seminars. But it was great to be able to have a much more in-depth conversation with him. You know, that thing, you know, about him, how he has changed or evolved or cultivated, I think was the phrase. His positivity is a brilliant lesson for people listening to learn. And
I like the way that he talked about it as a behaviour change. You know, it wasn't that he was born with this extraordinary positivity power and talking about it in the context of social media and that being toxic positivity as opposed to deep true positivity and some of those techniques that you talk through. I think it's going to really help people. And you forget how stressful dentistry can be.
It just made me think, you know, those people that we've all met and said, well, that's me. That's just the way I am. Well, the answer is, you know, listening to Jon, as we all know, you can change and evolve who you are. So I thought it was great.
But a really caring guy as well. You know, genuine desire to make sure that, you know, his experience and the stuff that he does helps as many people as possible. Yeah, I think people will take a lot from that.
Yeah, brilliant.
So here we are again.
Another one.
Again.
Another day, another episode.
Exactly.
It's very exciting.
It is, and today we're very fortunate. We have Jon Nicholas joining us, and Jon is a dentist, also a lecturer with the Smile Dental Academy. Yeah. Welcome, Jon. How are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're excellent. We are excellent. Yeah,
it's very good to see you guys in a sober state, because what tends to happen is we see each other at events, and you know things get out of hand. But here we are.
They do.
Gets a bit messy.
But actually, I think it's pretty good that there is a heavy social aspect to dentistry.
100%.
Because you know we talk a lot about
and across the ages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know the young guy, the middle ranker,
and there's the old bloke. Yeah,
elder. We'll call him an elder.
I think I class myself as the eldest statesman.
But I have this thing that I think dentistry is like an ecosystem, and it's all joined up, and it's important that you know different parts of the profession connect on an ongoing basis. Because
100%.
If we all do well, we all do well together.
Yeah,
if one bit falters or fails, potentially it fractures the whole profession. So having that social aspect, I think it's nice. It brings everyone together.
Definitely, and the good thing is, I mean, you guys deal with dentists all day long. We're quite fun people, right? We spend our whole day practicing and learning how to speak to people. Some are better than others, but you guys are pretty good. But you'll find that because everyone's so sociable, it just seems to click, and we always have a good time.
Yeah, no, absolutely we do. So to kick off, let's get right back to the beginning. You know, what were the things in your childhood that shaped you into the person you are today? What's the stuff that we need to know that's going to be relevant when we talk about your professional career?
Which in Jon's case isn't that long ago, actually.
So. keep going, lads. Keep going. It's very kind of you to say. No, you know what? It's quite a deep question to begin with, actually. And childhood-wise, was raised by mum and dad, North London, born in London. Standard Greek boy, grew up a bit of an attitude, you know what it's like, and then just took to like a duck to water really with life. Loved it. Mum was very good with me. She was a teacher. Dad was an accountant. So no dentists in the family actually, and actually no one from kind of any health professional background, which is a bit strange because you tend to find that there's a little bit of a link. You get signposted down that avenue, but it was almost by luck. I just kind of really loved artwork and I really loved science. I was a massive science geek, believe it or not. You might not know because obviously I'm really cool, but I was a massive geek. And
you hide it well.
Yeah, thanks, mate. But it was a combination of the two. Just kind of led me down that field of cosmetic treatment, I guess, cosmetic health. And I thought about being a surgeon. And then the thought of telling someone that they were going to die just was not on my agenda. I couldn't deal with death. So I decided, what next? I know, let's be a dentist. So here we are.
I'm just going to cut in here. I'm going to make a very big assumption here. Greek North London. Are you a gooner?
I am, mate. I am massive. Huge
so here we go.
A lot of games. Actually, interesting.
My Arsenal mug there, John.
Love that. Interestingly enough, I actually went to the first game of the season this season to watch the Arsenal at Crystal Palace. I don't know if you remember the game. And I went with my mate who's just recently had a kid, and he ended up, after Saka scored the second goal, the winning goal, he ended up ripping his shirt off. He hasn't been out in about 2 years, ripping his shirt off above his head, swinging it around his head. And the Arsenal official photographer caught him as the players were celebrating. He's dead center of the photograph, and it was plastered all over Arsenal's official Instagram.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. His wife found out and then blamed me. So I guess I'm just a bad influence on everyone, right? Including you.
Your fault for taking his shirt off.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I interjected there.
No, not at all. Not at all. So what was it? So there was obviously no history, no family history in dentistry at all. What was it? You say there was the art and the science, but was there something that particularly drew you to the profession? Because we've had situations where people have done work experience, or they've had a family member, or whatever it was, or was it literally you just found it yourself?
I've always been quite a sociable person. I love interacting with people. It's just like a massive thing for me. And the thought of sitting behind a computer and just not interacting with any human beings and just typing away, and it scares the daylights out of me, actually. So the fact that I could implement what I enjoyed, and using my hands and being able to socialize with people, patients, nurses, the team, was just massive for me. And it kind of ticked all the boxes, really. I did do some work experience, and it was cool. I did get on with my dentist. You could say he maybe influenced me a little bit, but the idea of socializing is pretty cool. But when you actually think about the job, it is a bit strange, isn't it? Because someone walks in through the door, right? Say a new patient, you've never met the person before, and within 3 minutes, your fingers are in their mouths. Like, where in society is that acceptable? It's just the strangest job, and I find it fascinating that I enjoy it so much. It's a bit weird.
But also, I think on that point, I think that's what makes dentistry, and particularly independent dentistry, so powerful, because it is a very intimate relationship. With lots of other healthcare professionals, you don't visit them as frequently, but also the relationship you have isn't as intimate. Whereas in a perfect world, you'd be going to a dentist way more regularly than perhaps you might see an optician or a chiropodist or whatever else.
Not replaceable by a machine.
No. So the consistency of seeing the same clinician actually matters, because there aren't many people that you get that close to in your life. And so you really have to trust, and you want to build up or perhaps there shouldn't be that many people.
Yeah. You two look pretty close.
In my head, I've got this image of like you meet someone in a bar in 3 minutes.
You got your fingers in the mouth.
Hello, I'm a dentist. Oh, that's fine.
Maybe back in my heyday, but like not anymore. I'm married, settled man now. That doesn't happen
that's
anymore.
Very funny, wasn't it?
But what's quite nice is that, and it bothers me a bit that young people in school today are under pressure, very young, to make these kind of career decisions. Now you need to be making those decisions when you're perhaps 13, 14, to make sure you choose the right GCSE options that give you the pathway to do the right A levels, to give you the right grades to get you into dental school. And that's a massive pressure. So for you to have worked out quite early that, okay, you enjoyed science, so you kind of had a bit of a head start, but you worked out the elements of the profession that were going to suit you. That's quite impressive that you got to that point so young.
The one thing that you said there, which is very interesting for me, is the pressure from a young age. We're almost conditioned from a young age to make decisions, make big life decisions, and it's so much pressure on from the get-go. And there's no kind of guidance, really. So you almost got to make a choice and kind of hope that you land on your feet. Luckily for me, I did, but not everyone does. So you could say there's an element of luck involved potentially, but also good guidance from my parents. The parents were very supportive in whatever I wanted to do. And actually, my dad did say, one thing that always sticks with me with my dad is he said, if you're going to do something, you need to make sure you enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, like never chase money, basically. If you enjoy it, you'll be good at it. And if you're good at it, then the money comes. So art was a passion for me. I did it at A-level. I got told by all my tutors and all my teachers, "What are you doing art for? You're an academic lad. You need to be doing economics." I don't flipping like numbers. I don't like numbers. They're so boring. I like art, I like painting stuff, I like using my hands. And like I said, luckily for me, that was the passion it was at, followed it, and it seems to have worked out so far.
It's brilliant.
So your dad had the numbers as your accountant, and you became the tooth artist.
Yeah.
So you went to dental school in 2008, qualified in 2013. Which school did you go to? What was that experience like going through dental school?
The best one. I went to the best one. So
of course you did.
I'll leave it at that. And I went to Barts in London. So I was in East London. I actually applied for everywhere but London, because being a London lad, wanting to get out and experience life. So I applied for Leeds, Manchester, also for King's as well, because it was a good dental school at the time. Still is, no offense to anyone there. And
good recovery.
And I actually got rejected from everywhere apart from Barts. So I went all the way to Leeds, however long it was on the train. Had about a 3-minute interview. Guy said thank you, and I left and got rejected 2 days later. So it wasn't a very pleasant experience, my uni applications. But finally, had a really lovely interview with a lady I remember, Dr. Patel. I don't know if she's still there, probably not, because it was so long ago. But it was a great interview, and then, like you say, it all worked out, and it always does work out. It always does work out. What you think one day might be a situation which is dire, it's always going to work out.
It's so true, isn't it? And I think people find their right place, and for whatever reason, and whilst Leeds wasn't a great experience, you going to Barts was the right school for you.
Yeah. Did you?
That's the one you ended up.
Did you stay at home, John, or did you go and do halls?
I had to get out.
I'll say, because otherwise you miss the experience.
I'm pretending like I'm, giving it a large one. It's mainly my mum kicked me out because she couldn't stand to lift my 30 boxes off the floor anymore. So
go and get a life.
You went home and your bedroom had been turned into a study or a library or something. There was no space for you anymore.
No, mate. It was, as soon as I left, I thought she'd make a shrine for me, but it was nothing like that. It was it was bed gone, wardrobe gone. You ain't coming home, son. Thanks, mum.
Wow.
Yeah.
John who?
Yeah. Exactly.
And so what was that like then? Did you breeze through dental school? Did you find it challenging? You make lifelong friends there?
Did you party?
I've a bit of all, really. I mean, look, it's everything's challenging. I think at the time I wasn't as emotionally aware of what I wanted in life, and I wouldn't say emotionally secure, but I think not as right now I'm in a position where I can control things a lot more. I'm a lot more spiritual and mindful of what's going on. And at the time I wasn't. I just wanted to party up and pass. Like that was the kind of the ethos at the time. And I did both of those things. I had a great time, met amazing friends. I wouldn't say it was a breeze, because I've always worked very, very hard. Anything I want to do, I will do it to the best of my ability. And I graduated with a distinction. I didn't breeze through, but I did very well, and I'm very proud of what I achieved at uni. But then it all went tits up when I applied for VT. So we get through to the end of university, and the way that it works at Barts is you do your end of year exams at the beginning of the next year, right, which is very, very strange. So you don't have a summer. So thank you very much, Professor Fortune, for that. You don't have a summer. You get back in, and the beginning of the 5th year was when we had to apply for our VT, right? Our VT positions. And I don't know if you guys remember, but you had to rank from 1 to like 1 million, all these different areas that you wanted to work in. The first being somewhere close to home, and then the millionth being somewhere in the Highlands in Scotland, something like that. I ranked it all, spent ages alongside revising for my end of year exams. And then lo and behold, what I thought I'd sent off, everyone, all my friends come in and say, all right, where did you get? What have you got a confirmation email? I'm like, what email are you guys talking about? I had ranked it all, but I hadn't pressed submit.
Oh,
right?
No.
So, but you're thinking, that's all right. I'm just going to go chat to the dean. Me and the dean, we're good pals. She'll slip someone a backhand, get me back on there. So I went and saw Professor Fortune at the time. Went to her office. Oh, Prof, I didn't submit my thing in time. Can you just sort it out? And her face just went white. She was like, John, that's it. You're unemployed for a year. And I was like, sorry, what? And I was devastated. It was a shambles, which again at the time felt awful. Ringing my mum up saying, "Mum, I'm coming home." That was a bad conversation. But yeah, it was scary. It was scary, and it was very uncertain. And but it worked out well, because you end up almost going through what we call like a clearing. So you go onto the March scheme, which is everyone who didn't pass their VT the first time around, you get kind of sidetracked into that scheme 6 months later. So you're basically 6 months behind.
Yeah.
And it was in that scheme where I met, Jin, Kish, and they're now lifelong friends of mine. And they're great people to be around. I mean, you guys can appreciate that. Without having done that, I would probably never have met them.
You wouldn't have done it. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's funny that thing. Well, I was going to say,
stars line up and all that.
Yeah,
sort of stuff,
go back to the beginning. If they'd offered you a place at Leeds,
yeah,
we are products of who we are today from all those little micro things that happened in our past.
100%. I mean,
so what did you do for 6 months, Jon?
Anything? So, for 6 months, what did I do? I did help out a little bit. I did like an honorary position at the hospital just to keep my hand on, but not much really. And it was unpaid, and it was just a bit. Can I swear on this?
You can.
It's for adults. Yeah.
It was a bit shit.
Yeah.
So all of your mates.
We could see it coming. We could see it coming.
All your mates kind of progressing, you feel a bit left behind, but that's what it is. And going back to the point I made before about what you said about would I change it? No, I wouldn't. And there's a guy I love listening to. He's a guy called Mo Gordat. I don't know if you guys have ever heard him before.
Yeah, the Google X guy.
Yes, incredible man. He actually I was signposted to him by Rona, and it was great. And he says he has a thing called the eraser test. So the eraser test is if you think of, like, if you guys think right now something that's really bad that's happened to you in the past, right? Sorry to bring the mood down a little bit, but it's an important point to make. If you think of something that's really bad that's happened to you in the past, where you felt really stressed from an event, would you erase that moment in time? Would you, if you were going to erase that moment in time, everything that surpassed afterwards because of that event would have to be erased as well. And if you were to ask loads of people, they did a study on it, and apparently 99% of people wouldn't. And we're talking, people who have had the most traumatic things happen to them. They wouldn't change it because it shapes you to who you are today. It makes you stronger. It strengthens your mind. It's stuff that we take for granted at the time. At the time, it seems like the worst thing, but actually, like I mentioned before, it always works out. I think
you're right. The easy answer is, of course, you'd erase it. Why would you want the pain? But we talk a lot about resilience and how we have to build resilience and what resilience is. But resilience is only experiencing things that don't go particularly well, and you learn how to cope with it, and you move forward, and you end up with a thicker skin or a better armor or whatever is required.
And you learn, don't you?
Well, yeah. But if you never go through the crap, you're never going to build resilience. And lots of people, particularly kind of younger parents of today, some of them perhaps cause their kids too much and don't allow them to have these micro fails where they can actually learn
or even fall over.
Resilience. There's too much comfort around people. So when they then become young adults, they don't quite know how to cope in different situations. Whereas for you, that kind of not submitting your VT places was a massive learning, and that would have changed your accuracy and how you plan and go about things, and your attention to detail will be different as a result of that experience. I guarantee you.
Don't do that again.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, it's resilience is massive. Resilience is huge in dentistry. It's huge in any business. And without being tested, how can you build on it? You can't. So rather than kind of shy away from these things and try and create a barrier against what we perceive as negative things, we should take them on the chin and learn from them and grow from them, because that's the only way we're ever gonna evolve our skill set anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so then you qualified, you got your VT, which is all good. You then went and did a MSc in restorative in 2019. So clearly enjoying your clinical learning, clearly enjoying the aesthetic side of things.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a commitment, isn't it? An MSc,
4 years, huge commitment financially and also time wise. When having kind of just come out, not earning that much cash, trying to pay back.
Timing wise, that's sort of like very front foot, isn't it?
But yeah, like it was the passion, right? And it's I still want to be the best in my field. I want to be the best person that I can, the best dentist that I can. And the only way you're really going to do that is through postgraduate training and furthering your skills. So that was a big thing for me. Is when I came out, I was like, right, what next? What are we going to do next? How am I going to improve next? And then the MSc happened. And actually, I enjoyed it. It was cool. Got a day out of clinic every now and again, which was nice. It made life a bit more interesting. Apart from around exam season, it was a little bit tough around then, but it is what it is. It was good laugh. Yeah, and I am where I am now. So now,
were you married then, John, or
no? That's why I was so happy. No, please don't. Hopefully, my missus isn't listening.
Yeah, so let's hope your wife doesn't listen to this one.
Yeah.
Do you want us to edit that?
No, keep it in. I want to keep her on her toes. No, my missus, she knows how much I love her and how important she is to my life. I love you, my darling.
Yeah, good recovery, John. Good recovery, John. There's a theme here, isn't there? Yeah. There's like he creates problems and then digs himself back out of the hole himself.
Smooth as a cashmere codpiece, I think.
It's also it seems to be the people that live with me hate me the most. So I think she's the next one. Yeah. No. So at the time,
yeah.
So you had that time and money to invest in that.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've invested heavily in your own skills and as a dentist, your clinical skills, and you're working as an associate. Have you any ambition to be a principal one day? Do you also invest in your non-clinical skills to the same extent?
It's a good question. It's one I've always thought about. And who knows? At the moment, there's I'm always thinking of different things. I get quite bored quite easily. It's probably the best way to. I always want to further things, and it's so far most of my investment of time and money has been in furthering my clinical skills, right? Mm-hmm. But we're getting to the point now.
That's what most dentists do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting to the point now where I feel like maybe there's room for some other changes. So who knows? Maybe on the horizon there might be some stuff kicking off soon. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what other stuff I can learn. I get a massive buzz off of it. So so bring it on is what I say.
Yeah. Whenever we've met and whenever we talk, you're always hugely positive. You know, you're the sort of guy that, you know, if it's pouring down with rain and you've got an umbrella, you'll be like, oh, it's really great for the planet, isn't it? It's really good for the plants and the trees. I don't really care, I'm getting wet. Have you always been like that? Was your childhood really positive? Were your family positive? Or is this something that you've kind of, it's conditioned behaviour that you've kind of taught yourself over time?
It's definitely something that I've cultivated more recently, and there's a number of reasons why. I mean, I haven't really told many people this, but back when I was younger, within the family, Dad had an issue with alcohol, and it kind of split the family up, right? So Dad left Mum, so Mum raised us. Dad was around, but and he's a fantastic father. But there was things that happened when we were younger that kind of may have affected me emotionally. When I was 13, 14, 15 years old, when you're really developing an emotional
formative years, aren't they?
Right. That's the times where you can be molded. And you know, at the time, you know, divorce within Greek families, for example, was, you know, unheard of. It was strange, and it just wasn't what I was expecting, and it kind of pissed me off, really. I was like, why is this happening to me? And you know, you catastrophize the situation, and you almost become selfish. But Dad actually inspired me. So if we talk about the eraser test again, would I have erased that? No, I wouldn't, because Dad recovered and he's now been sober for about 19 years now, I think, which is inspirational. And he actually was the key guy in inspiring me to become more mindful, because he never was, and that's why he had his issues. But actually coming from that, he read a book called, I don't know if you guys read this kind of stuff, but he read a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a very spiritual book and talks about being in the present moment. And it was a very inspiring book for me. He gave it to me to read, and I was like, wow, Dad, this is awesome. And that kind of inspired me to look into this stuff. And I had a real passion for it. And being the science geek that I am, I find the brain so fascinating. I could sit here for 4 hours chatting to you guys about neuroscience. You guys wouldn't appreciate it, nor would the listeners. But it is incredible. I know you had Dr. Khadija on, the Mind Ninja, who she probably went through all the psychology of stuff. I mean, she's incredible, so knowledgeable, and very inspiring. But all of this stuff put together just has led me to looking into things like meditation, looking into things like positive affirmations, and just trying to put a positive spin on life. Because when you are in a negative mindset, a negative place, life is just not enjoyable. It is not. So why focus on it? The only way to remedy it is to become more positive. And there's certain ways, certain things that I do that help me get there.
Obviously, from your point of view, the positivity that comes through is genuine, but there's a lot of social pressure for people to appear like they're positive, almost like pretend like they're positive, and I think that's more damaging than just being the person that they are. So from your point of view, how do you kind of deliver this on a daily basis?
Instagram profiles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're all guilty of it. I would call it probably a toxic positivity. It can be damaging because you need to be able to accept that things go wrong sometimes. I think acceptance is a key thing. How do I do it on a regular basis? It's through morning routines for me. So if I was to say to you, right, you lads, you want to, you guys look like you train in the gym. You look bulky, right? Yeah. So you train your body. You go to the gym. You work out. You train your body. But how often do people tell you that they train their minds? It's very rare. It's very rare. And the brain itself is so complex that if we don't spend time looking after it, it will look after us, right? So part of my morning routine, I'll wake up, freshen up, do my normal thing, brush my teeth, have a shower, whatnot. And then it's straight on with meditation. So I will meditate for about 20 minutes every single morning without fail. Meditating has changed my life, really. It's a way of without going into the science too much, it's a way of disconnecting yourself, just chilling yourself out, and being able to manage your mind, manage your thoughts, and stopping those thoughts from turning into emotions. So, for example, right, if you guys are at work, you're trying to sell a practice, right, and something goes wrong, and your instant thought is, oh no, this has gone wrong. And then you start to create a train of thought. This is going to lead to this, which is going to lead to this. It starts to stress you out. The thoughts then lead to an emotion, the emotion being stress. And stress then leads to all these mediators getting released into your body. Cortisol, blood pressure goes up. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling, right? That what you could have done initially is stop that. At the first thought you had, you could have disconnected from that thought and stopped that trail of thoughts. And in doing so, you would have prevented yourself from getting to the final thought and then the stressful situation. And that stressful situation wouldn't have then led to all those all the stress, the high blood pressure, the cortisol, all that kind of thing. So meditation really helps me to be present. Things that kick off, I just deal with them so much better now. Life is wonderful. We should be so grateful that we're here, and we should spend way more time being present. I don't think that we do as a human race. Now we've developed almost into people that think too much about the past, thinking about things we could have changed, and then worrying about what might happen in the future, all because of thought processes. And meditation helps me to control that massively.
It's a bit like, isn't it? I love it in the fact of my daughter does this thing called EFT, which is tapping, and they used it originated with child soldiers in Africa, and it's to relieve stress, and they teach it in schools here to basically stop you getting, as you were saying, past that point where you're all starting to get yourself all stressed. But I think it's a brilliant application of a practical application, isn't it? Whether it's your meditation or whether it's the tapping that actually says, I've got to do something. Yeah. Otherwise it becomes a runaway emotional train, and then you're in trouble.
Absolutely. But emotions, whilst without emotions we're not humans, but managing emotions is critical, because like you say, if you've not had a good start to the day and something goes wrong, it's a whole thing of, in a particular scenario, we have a choice whether we respond or react. And a reaction is normally an emotional response. And if we respond to something, we've probably counted to 5, and we've come up with probably a better answer, as opposed to that knee-jerk answer. And that's easy to say when we're just sitting here, we're all quite relaxed and we're chatting. But when you're in a high-pressure situation, and those happen quite frequently in dentistry, because you've got high-speed drills going round in where there's blood vessels and all sorts going on. you can see how that tinderbox can go off.
Yeah, but we are we're conditioned as dentists from an early age, from early in our career. We're conditioned to be scared. We're conditioned to practice defensively. We're conditioned to be scared of the GDC, of being struck off. That's the only, early on, that's everything that's in the back of your mind all the time. And you are essentially, every time you go to do treatment, you are conditioned, or you're taught, don't get this wrong, because if you get this wrong, you're in trouble. And how can you expect, especially a young person, to perform at their highest level when in the back of their mind there's always that negative spin? It's always going to be there. And I really feel like we have to change the culture. But we're conditioned like that, and well, alternatively, you can actually condition yourself to become more positive, but we're just not taught how to do so. I feel you're not taught how to do so at school at a young age. They're starting a little bit now, but it's nowhere near enough. Dental school, the closest thing I had to kind of talking about emotions was maybe communication skills, which was like a 1-day course. No one really taught us how to deal with stress, how to deal with emotion, how to have a more positive mindset. It's a massive part, and I think which I feel is missing. And then we sit there and wonder why.
In a way,
But also, I think you're putting yourself.
But then we wonder why.
Dentists.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
I was just saying that I think that you're putting yourself in a position to be able to help younger dentists, because obviously you lecture heavily and you're involved in the Smile Dental Academy. So I think in terms of changing some of the narrative of what young dentists learn, but how it's applied, gives you a chance to start to influence not just younger dentists, but all dentists through the academy.
I was going to ask, actually, John, when you're doing your lecturing, I'm assuming you're lecturing, on clinical, but do you also bring in your thoughts about meditation and stuff like that? Does that environment enable you to sort of almost combine the two?
Yes, a great point. I do, but I wouldn't. It's more in a private kind of, in a private way. So naturally, as lecturers and as course directors, we become mentors for the delegates, right? And they confide in you. They tell you stuff. And honestly, we wonder why. I was going to say before, we wonder why the rate of suicide in dentistry is so high. It's because we just don't have coping mechanisms. And I can say to you, since I started in the academy, I've probably had at least three delegates who have told me they have been suicidal, and that's shocking. It's shocking. It's actually scary, and that's just within Smile Dental Academy. Think of everyone outside of that. I've also had 2 friends within dentistry who have told me they've had suicidal thoughts as well, and it's something that we really need to open our eyes to, because if dentistry can be a very lonely job. It can be a very lonely place to be if you can't manage your mindset and the psychology, and you can spiral very quickly.
I suppose the reality is, for many dentists, the way they earn their money is with their hands. So they're locked away in a surgery, one-on-one with a patient, with a nurse in the room. And in that moment, your attention and concentration is complete on what you're doing in that moment. And to add to the stress in terms of the mental stress, you've then got physical stress, because you're not probably sitting in the most natural of positions, and you do that for hour after hour, day after day. So you can see how that's not a perfect environment for a human, is it?
With a patient who's not really that excited to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got John with his fingers in their mouths within 2 seconds. Yeah, it's it's a lonely place, and you're in unnatural positions. Yeah, it can get out of get out of control. It can be difficult, especially when things don't go right. When it's going well, it's great. But I think people need to begin to learn that even when we perceive things as not going right, they will work themselves out in the end. They will be fine. I think there's certain things we're perfectionists, right? Because as I mentioned, we're conditioned to be scared or be worried about doing things wrong. You feel like you have to be in control of everything, and that is a very dangerous position to be. Control is you need to realize there's certain things you can control, there's certain things that you cannot control. What you can control is going to work and doing the best that you can, being the best dentist you can, you guys being the best businessman that you can. You can do that. What you can't control is the outcome of your attempt. And that as soon as you realize that, this was a big eye opener for me. As soon as you realize that sometimes your best may not be enough, it's okay. That's fine. You deal with it. But the moment you try to control the outcome, that's a dangerous place to be.
But this stuff, John, you're obviously deeply into it, and it's personal interest. But this is not mainstream teaching. This is not mainstream learning for people, your peers who are in this situation. So how does that get kind of introduced in a widespread manner, so that people get to think in that context and in those terms? Because you've learned this pretty early on in your career. How does that kind of message get spread widely?
I think they have to implement it at university. It has to be done from day one, because without the infrastructure to train your mind and get control of your thoughts, it's not a good place to be. I think that's really where it should begin. It should actually probably begin earlier than that, maybe in schools. I'm aware that mental health is becoming a bigger thing, but I still think it's a bit of a tick box exercise. HR throwing mental health days randomly just to tick a box. It's not strong enough at the moment for me, because like I say, it's huge. And having had so many people tell me that they're having issues, suicidal thoughts, it's worryingly out of control, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, it's not great.
You can't learn by osmosis, can you?
No, and like you say, I think under that banner of just well-being, you want people to truly enjoy the things they're doing, ongoing. I know not everyone's going to get into a state of flow where everything's perfect all the time, but actually most days should be good, and then we have tough days, but that's where you build your resilience. So that's not all bad news. But there should be more days where people are enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, and also what I would say is, without putting too much of it down, I feel like I've been very negative, so I'm gonna spin it, because that's what I do, right? There are ways that you can learn to become more positive. There is something called neuroplasticity, which is where you train your brain. They used to think that your brain was, once it was formed, that's it. No matter what you did, that was it. So you were born genetically, that's it. You're a negative person. See you later. You're going to be negative for the rest of your life. It's not like that at all. There are solutions, and you can train yourself. And that's what the meditation does. That's what some other stuff that I do in the morning as well helps me to train myself to get into to become more positive. So for example, right, if you, again, we'll go back to you guys, more relevant to you guys, and also dentists, for example, if you're going to have a deal coming up, right, and you're really nervous about the deal, you really want to make sure you make a good impression. So you're a negative person, so you think in your head, right, this is going to be a really bad meeting. It's going to go really badly, and you visualize that in your head, and you think, okay, this is going to be really bad. Now, the brain, as complex and magnificent as it is, it's actually very easy to trick it, because the brain doesn't know the difference in terms of forming a memory. It doesn't know the difference between reality and a thought. So if you sit there and 10 times a day, you think, oh man, this meeting's going to go so badly. It's going to be terrible. It's going to go so badly. And you think that 10 times, your brain registers it as you having a bad meeting 10 times. And then when you actually have the meeting and it goes well, rather than you being like, oh, it went well. That's good. I reckon I'm going to be good at meetings. It doesn't. It's 10-1. 10 times you've thought negatively, one time the actual time it happened is the one. So your brain convinces you that you're always gonna be nervous for meetings. It's always going to go badly. Whereas if you visualize,
and the tragedy is, Jon, they were just thoughts. They weren't reality. They were just thoughts.
Yes. Exactly. They're just thoughts. That's all they are, and that's what you need to identify. Thoughts aren't reality. So why don't we use this to our advantage? And this is another thing that I do. It's visualizations and affirmations, positive affirmations. Is I will think positive things. I visualize what's going to happen in the day, short term and also long term, positive things. And therefore you're tricking your brain. It forms a memory in your brain that positive things are going to happen. And suddenly you start to pick up on the positive things that happen during the day rather than the negative. But this is training. This isn't something that's going to happen. You do it once and then, I'm not being delusional here. You can't, that's what toxic positivity is. When you do it once and you think it's going to work and it doesn't, and you pretend it does. It's not that. You need to do this on a daily basis. It needs to become habitual. And by doing that, you literally, this is true, it's scientifically proven, you literally rewire your brain. You connect the positive areas of your brain. Again, I'm not going to get into the science because you will bore everyone, but it rewires the bits that fire positive signals in your brain, so it becomes more unique, and it disconnects the negative ones. So you naturally feel more positive. Things seem better, and it's
and a lot of what you said.
But we're never taught
there's a lady
this, right?
called there's a lady called Carol Dweck. You may have read her book Mindset, and that's fascinating.
Yeah,
because it talks about the different mindsets you can have, and it pretty much is what you were saying about how you think about things, and you can change how you think.
Yeah, you can adapt,
which means that
maneuver,
and a lot of it is just how you perceive situations, and the outcome. We do have a degree of control over what that outcome is, and whether you want a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, you do have the ability to change how you think about things. But you're also right. It's an ongoing process. It's not like flicking a switch.
The mind, your brain is a muscle as well, isn't it? So you need to use it and stretch it and all that sort of.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Outside
So
of the work
if you were to do, sorry. Carry on.
I think we've got a little bit of delay because you're obviously on an island in the Seychelles or something at the moment. I think that's what it is.
I wish. Carry on.
I was just saying, so for you're obviously into this in a big way yourself, and you've done lots of work around it which you're benefiting from. But outside of the teaching you've done yourself, who inspires you to be better? Who are the people around you, and who do you look to for that?
That's a great question, actually. You obviously done this before, haven't you? Who inspires me? My dad, definitely. Like, incredible. Like his recovery, magnificent. And it's inspired me massively. I think he was the catalyst for all of this kind of thing. Moving from him, it's friends. Most of my friends, we've always kind of pushed each other and pushed each other further. I think it's really important to make sure your tribe is full of people who want to gain and push and develop. You don't want to be with stagnant people. They'll drag you down. And that's why I had such a big affinity for people like Jin and Kish, being around those guys. The energy is infectious. And they're just genuinely great guys. Very massive, big family men, but at the same time, huge ambitions. And it's massively inspiring to be around people like that. And I would recommend any young dentist, you must surround yourself with people who want to grow, because like you said, within an ecosystem, you need to attach yourself to people that want to grow, because there's lots of people around that are like that. And if you can attach yourself to someone like that, honestly, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, that's great. You strike me as quite a sort of a big thinker, kind of a big ideas sort of guy. But do you also sweat the small stuff? Do the small things bother you as well? Are you quite particular about stuff?
My OCD? No, not really. Small stuff, not really. I would actually say I'm trying to think. What am I quite particular with? I mean, look, my dentistry, I'm a little bit OCD, right? I'm like that, but that's only because I want to be the best that I can be. But in general, no, I'm actually very chilled. And my missus sometimes she gets a bit pissed off because I am too chilled, and she'll do something that she thinks might annoy me, and it just doesn't annoy me. And she actually gets annoyed herself that I'm not getting annoyed, and it's just she ends up pissing herself off.
You're not annoyed.
She was trying to annoy me, and why are you not annoyed? No, I'm just very chilled, and it takes a lot to rile me up. Maybe Arsenal losing might be one of those things. I'm sure you can appreciate, Chris. I'm very, very chilled. It takes a lot to annoy me.
Yeah, you've not experienced that much this season, have you?
No, we're doing all right. Henry, my son, Henry with an Arsenal loss, or even he gets so cross, and I say, "But we're winning." Yeah. But hang on, just chill out. Remember, we're winning.
It's very easy to get super passionate about sport, isn't it?
Yeah, football, definitely. Yeah.
In particular,
football brings the worst out in me. Definitely, that's.
Oh, you are Henry. You are my son. And Henry goes nuts.
And it's weird, isn't it? It's weird, isn't it? How we get so taken in by sport and football. How it can affect us so much.
Yeah. You don't ever think about referees, do you?
Yeah,
John, as well, because my son is always on about.
No,
referees.
Refs are. I'm always quite respectful to refs. Maybe before I discovered meditation, they probably they probably hated me. But now they make a wrong decision. It's fine. I can accept it now. They're trying their best as I am on the pitch. One ref once said something to me when I was playing football. It was quite funny. He's like, when you make a bad pass, I don't tell you you're a twat. So don't tell me I'm a twat when I get the decision wrong. I was like, yeah, fair play. That's fair play.
That's brilliant. Actually, that's really good. Yeah.
Actually, a fair point, isn't it?
Yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, honestly, it's been really enjoyable. I think some of those insights around how you truly are positive will be really valuable to people. I think they'll take a huge amount from not just kind of say, "I'll just wake up and be positive and make sure make out the world's fine." And at some point, it'll catch up.
Get out of bed half an hour early.
It's way beyond that. It's truly trying to develop systems and behaviours that just become repeatable, so that it becomes the way you live your life.
Boosts your robustness, doesn't it? It's just with so much stress it is. The more you can do, I think life, in general, isn't it? And the more you can do to be like really mellow and sort of just let stuff bounce off you to a certain degree.
I just hope one day we get to a stage where this gets incorporated into mainstream learning for everybody, as opposed to guys like you and us who go and seek this stuff out and we benefit from it, because the people who need it most probably the people who wouldn't have the mindset or the attitude or the willingness to go and seek it. So perhaps it needs to be pushed on those people in some sort of structured way.
And that in itself is a big thing. So people need to want to make the change. And sometimes, like you say, it's easy to when things are glorious and happy. It's easy to think like that. But sometimes, guys, you need to be in the darkest of places to be able to realize you have an issue and you have to work on something. So it works both ways. But I think always look out for your mates. Always ask if they're okay, especially in dentistry, because there's people that I would never have expected to tell me stuff, and they have. So we should always look out for each other.
Yeah, isn't it that thing? If you ask someone if they're okay, and then you're supposed to say, "No, are you really okay?"
Yeah. You follow it up with
because otherwise we'll go, "Yeah, it's great."
Don't ask me after an Arsenal loss, though, please.
No, that's right. Don't worry. I'm uncommunicative, so that's fine.
So, John, we always finish up in the same way, and we ask our guests the same two questions. And the first one we have for you is: if you could be a fly on the wall in a situation, where would that be, and who would you be with? What would you like looking on?
I thought about this, and it's just it's not really cool. It's not really. I feel like I should come in with a groundbreaking thing, but it's not really that cool.
It's gonna be the Arsenal changing room, isn't it?
I did think that, right?
It's going to be
when we won the league at Spurs, and we won the league at Spurs, and we won the league at Man United. I just dropping that in, but no, it's not actually that. It's so I'm really into music. I love music. It's a massive thing for me. I love create music as well. now. And I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Quincy Jones and MJ were producing that album. I would have loved to be in the studio and just watching them vibe off each other. That would have been really, really damn cool. So yeah, that's probably where I would have wanted to be. Yeah. The guy's a genius, man.
He is. He's genius.
Incredible. So that's probably where I would have
auditioned my hi-fi to Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
There was a certain track, I can't quite remember what it was now, but if you play it on certain speakers, there's certain bits of it that come out on better speakers that you don't actually hear on low speakers.
Wow.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, he was. You're right. He was the godfather of what he created. And our follow-up is, if you could meet somebody, if you could sit down with somebody and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine,
living or dead,
yeah,
real or fictional, anyone you fancy,
who would you like to spend some time with?
I'm gonna go a bit dark here, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna say Adolf Hitler.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. And the reason, I mean, look, I might smash the glass over his head potentially, but I wouldn't do that because I'm a chilled out guy. But I would love to just listen to his thought process and what the hell he was thinking at that time, because someone like that, their brain's got to be wired differently, man. And I would just love to hear his justifications for what he did and understand him a little bit more as a person. So I'm gonna go with Adolf Hitler, guys.
We haven't had an Adolf Hitler.
We haven't.
No.
And I think it would be quite scary to get into the mind of somebody like that, given the things he did, and actually understanding that. I assume he genuinely felt he had a good reason. He
believed that was the way.
That it would just be incredible to understand why he thought the things he did were okay. Yeah. But imagine if you could truly tap into that thought process.
That's what I mean.
How that might be able to impact future people down the line in terms of, could you change the course of the future? It would be an uncomfortable meeting, but yeah, it'd be a really interesting one.
I'd make sure I was maybe do a Zoom chat, but
yeah.
I don't know if they had Zoom back then. I don't think they did.
We can augment this.
We got a time machine, so that's fine.
Okay,
don't worry about it.
All right,
John, it's been wonderful. Appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy.
It's been good, really good. Thank you.
We're catching up next week at a social event, which will be good fun.
Yes, hopefully, and hopefully you're sober. I'm not pointing at any of you guys.
No.
We will
We'll
be having a good time, which will be fun.
You're always sober.
It's always a pleasure to chat to you guys, and I'm glad we actually got to chat a bit deeper today. It's been a real pleasure. So thank you so much for your time, guys, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you for having me on. And
thank you for coming on, John. It's been brilliant.
Thank you, and I really hope that if not you guys, if anyone's listening here. If we can inspire even one person today with what we've spoken about, then I think it's job done.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate your time today, John.
Thank you.
Yourself.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Dentology, where we discuss the business of dentistry. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe where you found this episode. That would be amazing. And also follow us on Instagram.